guys, I'm George. I'm back in Japan. I talked about the reasons why I'm back in Japan on my Instagram, so if you're curious, please check it out. I was away from Japan for about a year and traveled to 16 countries in total. Wow, many good memories. If I had to choose 5 countries that I enjoyed the most, I would choose number 5. The Netherlands. I like their beautiful nature, all traditional Dutch buildings, water taxis in Rotterdam, and snack bars. I like Braj Frikandel. Number 4, Colombia. I love Colombian parties and Colombian girls. Colombian girls are hot, like very hot. Number 3, Morocco. Because of super nice cloudless weather and delicious unique Moroccan food, but more than anything, Moroccan people are the friendliest on this planet. Number 2, Brazil. Because I really like the vibe there, where people are friendly, easygoing, and the food is amazing. I miss my churrasco. Number 1, USA. I love the chill vibes, weather, and people in LA and San Diego. And also, I love cheese, beer, and the people in Wisconsin. My biggest achievement during my world travels was definitely the fact that my Wisconsin video went viral on TikTok and I was on TV for the first time in my life. I'm really proud of myself. And my least favorite country is nothing. Because thanks to my lovely subscribers, I had a really good time in each country I visited. They are really nice and polite. I'm super proud to have those amazing subscribers. Arigato! It's been about 3 weeks since I came back to Japan, but man, I love Japan so much. So in this video, I'll tell you the best and worst things living in Japan that I realized after traveling the world. Let's get started. Best things living in Japan. Number 1, food. I tried all the delicious food in each country I went to. Here are my top 5 foods. Number 5, chicken inasal in the Philippines. Number 4, rafisa in Morocco. Number 3, churrasco in Brazil. Number 2, paella in Spain. Number 1, lasagna in Italy. The worst food I had was licorice candy in the Netherlands. Peeing boy statue candy. Oh, it does taste like shit. Oh my gosh. But not gonna lie, Japanese food is also amazing. My most favorite Japanese foods are number 3, unaju, which is grilled eel rice bowl. Number 2, shogayaki, which is stir-fried pork with ginger. Number 1, kare, which is Japanese curry rice. My mom's curry rice is the best in the world. Alright guys, so this is the curry rice that my mom made. Looks so delicious. Say hi, mom.
Hi.
Hi. Arigato itadakimasu. Alright guys, look at this. Looks, smells amazing. Umai! Japanese food and my mom's cooking are so delicious that I can't stop eating them. And thanks God, I gained weight. Help. Best things living in Japan. Number 2, public transportation. Not only Japan, but most of the countries I visited, especially European countries, have amazing transportation systems as well. But after traveling the world, I found buses, trains, and subways in Japan are cleaner, more convenient, more quiet, and always on time. And here's a really Japanese story when it comes to trains in Japan. A few years ago, a Japanese railway company issued a public apology after a train left the station 20 seconds earlier. It was supposed to leave at 9 minutes 44 and 40 seconds, but it left at 9 minutes 44 and 20 seconds, and they apologized. I have never seen anything like this outside of Japan. Even in Canada, where people tend to say sorry as much as Japanese people do, would never do this. That absolutely happens only in Japan, and I love that. And I also love the fact that Japanese people line up properly when they wait for the trains. In many countries I visited, I found that almost no one cares the line and just get on the train. At kindergarten or schools in Japan, we were trained to line up properly when we wait for the trains or basically anything. This is one of the reasons why many people from overseas say Japanese people are disciplined. But unfortunately, sometimes trains in Japan get a little sketchy because there are many hentai adults. In other words, gropers in Japan.
A video has captured a groper running away from 2 female high school students. According to police, the man in his 30s was caught groping an underage girl.
When you take a train in Japan, just be careful with them. Best things living in Japan. Number 3, konbini. Konbini is the abbreviated word for a convenience store in Japanese. And there are 50,000 konbini across Japan. The largest operators of konbini are 7-Eleven, Family Mart, and Lawson. And most most of them are open 24/7. In major cities like Tokyo and Osaka, konbini can be found on almost every corner of the streets. So you're likely to find konbini within a 5-minute walk from your hotel or house. I literally can't live without konbini, and most people in Japan can't as well. The desserts, drinks, breads, hot foods, everything is so good, fresh, and convenient when you're having a lazy day or craving something. Konbini is definitely one of the things I missed the most about Japan during my travels. Though I tried 7-Eleven in the US, Philippines, and Mexico, they are so different from Japanese one. I was even disappointed how the US 7-Eleven has nothing but junk food and is a little sketchy depending on the locations. I actually liked their Slurpee though, which we don't have in Japan. So I learned that Japanese 7-Eleven is the best in the world. So right after arriving in Japan, the first thing I did was head straight to 7-Eleven and get some ocha and onigiri. This is kind of my ritual after coming back to Japan because it makes me feel like I'm back in Japan. Tadaima, Japan! Best things living in Japan. Number 4, safety. Japan is extremely safe. It's one of the safest countries in the world. Japan is a country where you drop your wallet, then someone immediately runs to get it and return it to you. And also Japan is one of the few countries where you walk around at night and you can feel safe. But not only Japan, but most of the countries I visited were quite safe, even at night as well. However, only one time during my world travel, I actually experienced something dangerous in Brazil. I mentioned one of my favorite countries is Brazil, but as night falls, it gets a little dangerous there. When I was in Sao Paulo and filming there, a young guy walked straight up to me and tried to steal my camera. But I immediately noticed that and protected my camera like this. And luckily, nothing happened to me and my camera. It was scary, wasn't it? Aside from that, in the US, nothing dangerous happened to me there, but it's really heartbroken to see gun violence news. It's absolutely terrifying. So safety in Japan is something very precious, something I don't take for granted. But again, be careful with hentai gropers on trains in Japan. There are many hentai in Japan. Best things living in Japan. Number 5, going cashless. After coming back to Japan, I realized how cashless Japan has become. I mean, Japan used to be a very cash-based country. But in 2022, the cashless payment ratio steadily increased to 36%. In Japan, one of the most commonly used cashless systems is the transit IC card, like Suica and Pasmo. I use Suica on my phone. These cards are mainly used for public transportation, including trains and buses. But you can also use them to pay for things at convenience stores, vending machines, and even some shops and restaurants. And also payment apps such as Apple Pay and Google Pay are becoming more and more popular in Japan. We also have PayPay, LINE Pay, and Rakuten Pay, which are the 3 most English-friendly payment apps in Japan. And of course, most major credit cards are accepted for purchases in larger stores and restaurants. But there are still some places where cash is required, especially in the countryside. So when you visit Japan, be sure to bring some cash and your excitement. Best things living in Japan. Number 6, introvert-friendly. Finding the right country or city to live in can be challenging if you are an introvert like me. But here we go, guys. Japan is the best introvert-friendly country in the world. Japan is waiting for you. Japanese culture emphasizes not inconveniencing others. People are very respectful of others' boundaries, so strangers rarely approach you. And also, Japan is so introverted that it is very normal to do things alone. For example, we have many solo karaoke boxes where you can sing to yourself in the privacy of an individual booth. Even when you eat out alone, no one will give you a strange look because it's incredibly common in Japan. Like coffee shops and fast food restaurants are often filled with single customers. Sometimes people suck, so if you're tired of relationships, just leave your country and come to Japan. And here are the worst things living in Japan that I realized after traveling the world. Worst things living in Japan. Number 1, work-life balance. In Japan, there are many people living to work, not working to live. You might already know that many people work a lot of hours in Japan. They come to the office early, like around 7 a.m. and leave very late, like around 11 p.m. There are some reasons why that happens. Number 1, many people work long hours as a positive sign to their boss that they are working hard. Number 2, minashi zangyose, which is expected overtime hours. This is a system where your monthly salary already includes your overtime wage on the premise of you overworking for a certain amount of hours. And this system is implemented in many companies in Japan. Hours of minashi zangyo can be set by each employer, and it can be ranged ranged from 15 hours to 40 hours monthly. For example, if your salary includes the overtime wage of 40 hours, that means you will be working 2 more hours on top of your 8 hours shift. And it causes many Japanese workers leave the office late. Of course, if your overtime exceeds your expected overtime hours, the company will pay the overtime additional salary. But it leads to the fact that some employees stay at work and do nothing just for the sake of getting overtime pay. This results in very bad work-life balance and inefficient work style in Japan. When it comes to work-life balance, I also want to talk about paid vacation in Japan. During my travels, I found that many people I met, mostly my subscribers though, take a long vacation and balance their work and life much better than Japanese. Like for example, in the UK and France, they receive an average of 25 to 30 days vacation a year. And they are likely to use all of them, and they even say it's not enough. But in Japan, you get a minimum of 10 days of paid vacation every year. You might get more, like 20 days of paid vacation depending on a company you work at. But at least this minimum is every full-time worker's right, and it's protected by the law. But most Japanese workers tend to not use them all. Because reason number one, many Japanese have a strong sense of responsibility to their jobs, and they are too concerned about the situation at work. Reason number two, they want to save holidays for an emergency. Reason number three, they don't want their boss or colleagues to think that they are lazy workers. There's a major social issues in Japan called karoshi, which means death from overwork. So Japanese people should take more vacations and drink and dance like crazy, like me in Colombia. Worst things living in Japan number 2, umbrella theft. My umbrellas have got stolen more than 10 times in Japan. Japan is a safe country, but not for umbrellas. Umbrella theft is Japan's most popular criminal sports. Theft of umbrellas placed outside convenience stores is very, very common in Japan. Even though Japan is such a safe country where you can leave all of your belongings at your table in a cafe and go to the restroom and come back with nothing being stolen. So why does your umbrella get stolen? One of the reasons is because umbrellas in Japan are not that expensive. You can buy it at any convenience store for about 700 yen, which is about $5. So people don't feel too guilty about taking a stranger's umbrella when they get caught in a sudden rain. And oftentimes when a person has an umbrella stolen, their anger can lead them to take away someone else's umbrella placed nearby. And this wave of borrowing will continue until humans go extinct. So here are some tips for how to avoid having your rain body stolen by someone else. Number 1, use a retractable umbrella that you can fold up and carry with you at all times. Number 2, put a distinctive label on your umbrella handle saying, "I'm watching you." Number 3, don't carry your umbrella in Japan. Number 4, don't live in Japan. Just kidding. Worst things living in Japan. Number 3, Netflix. While traveling around the world, I realized that Netflix has different content libraries depending on which region you are in. So Netflix in Japan sucks because I can't watch Ghibli movies, my absolute favorite anime of all time. The only way to watch Ghibli movies in Japan is rent or buy DVDs. What the fuck? How does it make sense that Ghibli movies, which are Japanese, aren't on Netflix in Japan, but other countries have it on their Netflix? That's why I always use today's sponsor, ExpressVPN. It's an app that lets you change your online location. So wherever you are, you can access thousands of extra shows and movies on any of your streaming services. Here is how it works. If I use ExpressVPN to change my online location to Germany just by selecting from 94 countries and tap in the middle button here and refreshing the page, they have my beloved Ghibli movies on Netflix. And you can even change your location to South Korea and watch many more K-dramas that you can't watch in your country. Not only that, but also ExpressVPN protects you from hackers. Since I travel so much, I'm always connecting to public Wi-Fi at cafes, hotels, airports, etc. But using public Wi-Fi could be really dangerous because anyone connected to the same Wi-Fi can easily steal your personal information, like your social media account logins, passwords, even your bank details. But when I turn ExpressVPN on any of my devices, such as my phone or laptop, my internet traffic goes through an encrypted tunnel, so nobody can steal my personal information, like my birth date, which is February 18th, 1995. Now you know my birthday, so you can celebrate my birthday every year. Thank you. So if you want to protect your online security wherever you are and enjoy all the movies and shows that Netflix has to offer, you can get 3 months free using my link in the description down below. expressvpn.com/GeorgeJapan. Check it out. Worst things living in Japan number 4, earthquakes. During my world travels, when I was in Spain specifically, a magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck south central Turkey, near the Turkey and Syria border. My heart goes out to all those affected by that horrible earthquake. When it occurred, it reminded me that the horrible earthquake might occur in Japan as well, because Japan is one of the most earthquake-prone countries in the world. In fact, over 20% of all earthquakes stronger than magnitude 6 happen in Japan. You might have heard that the Great East Japan earthquake struck the Tohoku region on March 11th, 2011, which was a disaster of catastrophic proportions with approximately 22,000 people killed or missing, and more than 120,000 homes completely destroyed. At the time, I was a high school student, and I still remember the moment clearly when that occurred. My high school shook horribly during the earthquake, and I thought I'm gonna die. But now, there is growing concern that a major earthquake will cause even more damage than the Tohoku earthquake. It's the Nankai Trough earthquake. The Nankai Trough earthquake is expected to be one of the biggest earthquakes to strike Japan, and the probability of it is now estimated at around 30% within 10 years, 70% to 80% within 30 years, and around 90% within the next 40 years. Or it might occur even now. So if you live in Japan, you have to live with it. You have to live with earthquake anxiety. But to be honest, there is nothing you can do to control them. So enjoy every single moment of your life. I enjoy watching Ghibli movies. I love Totoro. Worst things living in Japan number 5, never standing out. You must never stand out in Japan, because the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. We call this derukui wa utareru in Japanese. Japanese society is ruled by strict social standards that all Japanese must follow because of its group mentality. One of the most extreme examples is, at most Japanese schools, the length of uniform skirts must hide your knees, and your hair must be black and no perming. You might have seen Japanese teenage girls in anime who have super short skirts and pink or red or blue hair. But the reality is, no, anime lied to you. But unfortunately, no matter how much you follow those Japanese rules, inevitably you will stand out if you don't look Japanese. And also, people might stare at you out of curiosity, and it might make you uncomfortable or stressed out. I personally experienced that many times during my world travels, especially when I was in Colombia, Morocco, Turkey, where not so many Asian people are there. It's totally understandable that people stare at me because I look different. But to be honest, I didn't really feel uncomfortable being stared by many people. I was even happy when my crushes stared at me. Worst things living in Japan number 6, Honne and Tatemae / reading the air. Even after you master Japanese language, you still might struggle to communicate with Japanese people because many Japanese people don't express their true feelings. In Japan, we have this unique practice called Honne and Tatemae. Honne means your true feelings, and Tatemae is the mindset where you don't express directly what you personally think, but prioritize how others may feel so that things can work well and go smoothly with no conflicts. Japanese people don't really like to have a conflict with others or inconvenience them, so they prefer to give formal responses or to react with formal behavior rather than saying what they really think to others. So when you talk to Japanese people, you have to figure out what they try to say without them actually saying what they want to say. So you have to read the air, which we call kuki o yomu. Reading the air or the situation and communicating in an appropriate way keeps most things in harmonious flow, which supports Japan's values of cooperation and respect. So many people I met on my travels got really surprised when I said things very directly. They thought I'm not Japanese at all.
It does taste like shit, oh my gosh.
According to my DNA test, I'm 98% Japanese and 2% Finnish. So yeah, maybe that's why. Alright, that's all about best and worst things living in Japan from my perspectives. Overall, I love Japan. Love, love, love. For me, the positives definitely weigh out the negatives. If you have your own thoughts on best and worst things living in Japan, leave your comment down below. Alright, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day. Bye!